world-class professional boxing here at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino of Las Vegas. Tonight, Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions and Gary Shaw Promotions are proud to present this first bout of the evening, sponsored by Rockstar. Party like a rock star and fearless. Barrera versus Marquez, March 17th on HBO pay-per-view live from the Mandalay Bay. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and as an eliminator for the #1 ranking, the World Boxing Council. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout will be Chuck Giampa, Dave Moretti, and Jerry Ross. And inside the ring, referee in charge of the action, Tony Weeks. And now, 12 rounds of boxing. This is in the light welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red, official weight 140 pounds, professional record 37 victories, including 27 knockouts with 3 defeats and 1 bout even. From El Paso, Texas, the Hispanic Cousin Panic Juan Lazcano. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, official weight, also 140 pounds. Professional record, 27 victories, including 18 knockouts, with 2 defeats and 1 draw. From Brooklyn, New York, the former light welterweight champion of the world, Vicious Vivian Harris.
All right, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, gentlemen, you both received your instructions in your dressing room. Okay, right here is okay, anything that's going to be low. Right here is okay, anything that's going to be low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
Vivian Harris is a solid 2.5 to 1 favorite. He can be very dangerous in the early rounds. Lazcano is hoping to take this fight deep to give himself the best chance.
We talked about Lennox Blackmore in Harris's corner. The man in Juan Lazcano's corner, Freddie Roach, has gotten as much publicity as any trainer in the sport in the past couple of weeks after having been signed on to train Oscar De La Hoya on a one-time only basis in De La Hoya's upcoming fight May 5 against Floyd Mayweather. Of course, De La Hoya's normal trainer, Mayweather's father, Floyd Mayweather, who elected to ask for $2 million and was turned down by De La Hoya and company, deciding to go on the one-time basis only for Roach. We'll talk more about that later as Lazcano tries to get started against Harris. Harris jabbing upstairs. He's the longer arm, quicker-handed, more gifted fighter. And, Emmanuel, it seems to me, Lazcano's going to have to get to Harris's ribcage to have a chance.
Yeah, he's going to go. So if he sets and fights at the pace that he's fighting at and the distance he's fighting at, it's going to give Vivian a good chance to set him up, because Vivian is a very good technical boxer, especially from the distance that they're fighting at.
Vivian Harris fighting flat-footed for the moment, and clearly expecting to be able to land some big shots if he can set Lazcano up with his, again, what are regarded as superior boxing skills.
Well, Lazcano doesn't have the natural coordination and gifted speed of Harris, so he's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive and try to quit being too technical and make the fight be a little bit closer and a little bit more intense.
And you can sort of feel Lazcano even now inching forward, looking for ways to try to get closer to Harris. In all probability, he'll have to find some angles other than to go straight in, because if he walks straight in, Harris can pop that jab and hit him anytime.
And every time he gets forward, Harris counters right away with a left uppercut or a left hook. And it's making him very cautious. Instead of just backing back, Harris is actually taking a step and countering at the same time. See that right there? Every time he comes in, Harris counterpunches.
Lazcano trying to assert himself early in the fight, but still coming straight in rather than to go in at angles. And this is something that Vivian Harris can easily handle, or so it would appear, with his greater hand speed. There's an uppercut by Lazcano and quickly countered by a vicious left hook from vicious Vivian Harris.
Well, you know, he doesn't make it very physical and very intense and put a lot of pressure on Vivian the way it's going right now. Vivian will systematically pick him apart. Well, Harris called Lazcano not a very smart fighter, but Lazcano is trying to be smart here, trying to extend the fight and hope that Harris in some way loses his focus.
Round one, and you can already spot that, Larry. But Lazcano is taking his time as he tries to work his way through round one and see exactly what it is that Harris has in store. Harris overshooting with a right hand over the top, and Lazcano more and more ducking low to try to get inside and try to avoid those big shots that Harris has fired. Round one was a counterpunching festival for Vivian Harris.
Great round for Vivian.
You see we got it in front of you. Yep. You see how he reaches with the feints, okay? Right now we gotta work off the feint now. Okay, son? Yeah. Start doubling that jab up. Okay?
Get him. When you looking for the jab, right hand, left, just turn it over. Don't loop it. And you stay busy. Right? Don't get lackadaisical, stay busy.
That's the key. Stay busy.
Right?
Yeah.
Make things happen out the front leg.
Stay busy.
And stay with the jab. That's all you gotta do. You ready? It's a kid, you don't want to get.
Copy box numbers in round one. Vivian Harris, 17 out of 55, including 14 out of 41 jabs. And Lazcano able to get off only 22 punches by CompuBox count, landing only 3, an easy round for Vivian Harris. And you heard Freddie Roach say, okay, you see that he goes for the feints. Now we have to begin working off the feints. Emmanuel, explain.
Well, he's making feints, but I don't see where he's doing that much of a feint himself. I think it's basically he just has too much respect for Vivian at this stage and has not figured a way how to get in. And he's going to have to take some gambles. Right now, he's on his way to a guaranteed loss for the most part. So he's going to have to take a risk and try to apply more pressure, even at the risk of getting hit possibly.
You can instantly see the danger of fighting Vivian Harris at 140 pounds. He's a junior welterweight who has the range and the punching power of a welterweight. And it's just not a customary experience for any fighter in this division to go up against somebody whose guns are so big.
But the only way you can try to neutralize that is to just try to get in and hope you can wear him down. And then where that physical advantage of him being so tall can become a disadvantage if it gets to be a rough fight and physical fight. But right now, that's not happening.
And that is, incidentally, that isn't the way that Mousa beat him. Mousa beat him just by being aggressive and able to take punches early on, and then, you know, watched Harris disintegrate right in front of him.
And actually, Mousa got hit coming in, but he did take the risk, and it was rewarded for him. But right now, I don't think Lazcano has made that commitment yet.
Now Lazcano reaches with the right hand, gets countered with the left.
What Vivian is doing is beautiful. Every time that Lazcano comes in and throws a punch, he counters back right away. He never just blocks a punch.
Now for the first time, Lazcano gets Harris to the rope, lands one body punch, tries to bull Harris back into the rope. Vivian steps away and moves back to the center of the ring.
You know, it's also, Emmanuel, up to Vivian, if he's presented with this problem in front of him, also to step up if he wants to be recognized as the fighter he thinks he is.
Well, I think he feels that systematically the fight he's, gaining control of the way he wants to right now. So
I think things are really going Vivian Harris's way as he bangs Juan Lazcano into a corner, landing with the right hand and now with the left hook there. And Lazcano is an increasingly willing target for Harris's quick punches, and there's a straight right hand over the top that bangs Lazcano back into the ropes, and Juan Lazcano has to hold on before Harris can pull the trigger on any more big power shots.
Right there, Harris started to take the initiative and try to impose his talent on Lazcano.
Mousa had the bravery when Harris started going for the knockout early to fire back and land some shots. Lazcano hasn't been able to do it.
Deep breath. Okay. Now 1, You got to keep this guy going backwards. He's on his heels where he's going backwards, okay? You cannot let him come to you, okay? All right? You give him the advantage. You let him come to you, okay? He's got a lot of speed there, okay? We can't fight going backwards, okay? Now here, you start dictating the pace of the fight with the jab, backing him up with the jab, okay?
Right here, you see Vivian shoot a beautiful short right uppercut right between the gloves, and these are the kind of punches that's giving Lazcano trouble because Vivian shoots very short, accurate punches, and he keeps his hands always in great position.
It's been a mismatch so far in the first 2 rounds. Vivian Harris landed 36 punches in that round. Lazcano threw 33 by CompuBox count. You at home could score just as easily as Harold Letterman does as Vivian Harris continues to work through what has so far been little more than a sparring session against Juan Lazcano.
It is not even a good sparring session. Lazcano is still fighting a perfect fight for Vivian.
And you heard Freddie Roach say you can't fight backing up. That's entirely true. Lazcano has to get inside. He has to crowd Harris. He has to keep going forward. He's going to have to take shots to do it.
Freddie has given him great advice, but he's not doing it.
Well, it's more easily said than done.
Yes.
You're going against a guy who hits hard for a 140-pound fighter and with fast hands.
Fast-handed, is always in a position to punch. He's never where he gets back with wide punches. His balance is perfect. His hand position is good, and he punches short, accurate punches.
Now Lazcano lands a right hand upstairs.
And that's what Lazcano has got to do if he stands any chance of winning this fight.
Lazcano seems to understand he needs to get closer. Got his shoulders to Harris's shoulders and bodied him off for a moment. Now he lands a couple of body shots. Once again bodies Harris off for punching room and throws uppercuts. Trying to fight fire with fire. Harris landed big uppercuts early. Lazcano is starting to listen to Freddie Roach here in round number 3.
And he's winning this round, and he's doing more damage in this round than Harris has did in all of the rounds previous to this.
Body shot by Harris, but Lazcano keeps coming. Keeps his shoulder against Harris's shoulder. Good body shot with the left hook by Harris, but Lazcano starts to let his hands go, and the fight changes before your very eyes. Now Lazcano starts backing Harris up.
Now it's becoming a very exciting fight, just the opposite of what it was prior to this round.
Does Harris need more room to do his stuff?
He punches very good with short punches, but right now, the way the fight's going, Lazcano is actually having an advantage as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and this is the only way that Lazcano can test Harris's mind.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job right here.
He's starting to deliver the kind of shots that can create questions for Harris as to how hard he wants to fight.
And then this is where I start wondering about the weight-making fact on Vivian, because he's so tall, and it takes so much to make weight. And if the fight goes longer, at this pace, it's going to favor Lazcano.
Not to mention that Lazcano's confidence will grow, which makes it easier to take Harris's big shots.
And Harris is beginning to get comfortable fighting in close, which is wrong.
Stop. Amazing how rapidly things changed when Lazcano started listening to the excellent Freddie Roach. But you see, Harris is a body puncher also.
So for them, right now the punches are hitting right on the borderline from both guys, so someone may get a warning pretty soon for a low blow.
Harris trying to pull Lazcano backward and regain the momentum in the fight. Lazcano once again bodies Harris off with his shoulder and lands a couple of shots to finish the round. Very interesting round 3 after 2 landslide rounds for Harris had preceded it. On Real Force, story of 2 brothers, both high school wrestling stars, who have coped with tremendous family tragedy. And on the eve of March Madness, Costa Sal will return with a look at the state of collegiate sports.
I want you to stay with the jab. Keep hop, stepping back. Jab, hop, step, big. All right, so I don't want you to fight him. This is his fight. I want you to fight your fight, man. Make it easy, man.
Don't make it hard, baby. Come on now. Back to basics.
Come on, stay with the jab. What are you boiling up?
Right here, you can see Vivian fighting at too close a range, and you see Lazcano coming through with 3 beautiful punches. All of those punches landed cleanly. 1, 2, 3.
You know, I was beginning to think that Lazcano's statement before the fight, "May the best man win," was a concession speech until the second half of that round.
Juan Lazcano won the 3rd round primary, landing 24 out of 63 punches, or power shots, I should say, to 19 of 38 for Vivian Harris, according to CompuBox count. Let's see how Harold Letterman has it scored through 3.
Okay, Jim, the same way, 29-28
2-1 vicious Vivian Harris. Jimmy ran away with the first 2 rounds, but that third round, Juan Lazcano dug his shoulder into Vivian Harris's chest, kept him inside, pounded away with uppercuts, really landed the cleanest shots in the third round. Vivian, when he stays outside, exhibits beautiful ring generalship. He keeps him on the end of that jab just where he wants him. 2-1 Harris.
Now, why is Lazcano doing this, Emmanuel Stewart?
I cannot figure that out.
In the third round.
Because Lennox Blackmore gave Vivian great instructions. He told him to get back to boxing. You're fighting in too close. And that's what Vivian is doing. And I don't understand why Lazcano is letting him do that.
Almost as if Lazcano's already tired and needs some kind of a break.
Yeah, that was my intuition, Jim, that after that last round, he wanted to take maybe the first minute slowly before getting into this.
Well, it's certainly physically taxing to fight the way he did in the third round, but if you're going to have a chance to win the fight, that's what you're going to have to do all the time. Incidentally, they're fighting with Reyes, the puncher's gloves, so there could be damage in the fight.
Both guys are shooting power punches and they're short, active punches. Nobody's shooting wide, slapping punches.
Lazcano able to block Vivian Harris's launched right hand with his right arm and shoulder. Now Juan goes back to throwing punches, but this is nothing like the frontal assault he mounted in round number 3. Now here he comes, jumping in and getting ready to go forward the way he did in the third round. Needs to get chest to chest with Vivian Harris. You've already seen the template for the fight.
The fight changes completely depending on the distance of the fight. And if it's at a certain distance, it's all Vivian. If it gets to a certain distance, like right here, it turns out to be Lazcano.
Absolutely right. The instant they are breathing on each other, Juan Lazcano seems to have the advantage. When they step back and look at each other, it's all Harris.
Is that just Harris's stubbornness, Emmanuel?
I think a lot of it is stubbornness, but he has a good right uppercut himself.
Or does he just believe, look, I'm the stronger, better man, and even at close quarters, I should have the best of it?
I think that's more that he feels that he's strong enough. Because when he boxes, he normally boxes with a lot of middleweights and light heavyweights. And sometimes he likes to try to feel physical himself, but that is not his strongest asset.
Hard right hand by Harris, but Lazcano at that range is perfectly willing to come back, and he fires 3 shots of his own. Pulls Harris into the ropes. Once again, at this moment, they're fighting Juan Lazcano's fight. It ain't pretty, but it's what he can do. 4 rounds into a fight which has already shifted once between Vivian Harris and Juan Lazcano. Earlier, Larry spoke to Shane Mosley.
Shane, have your knockouts of Vargas somehow revived your spirits?
I think so. I mean, I've had a couple knockouts of Vargas, and knowing that, I'm really a welterweight, I feel that I can go down and weight and be able to do the same thing.
You're talking now about knocking everybody out. Why?
Well, I feel that, if I don't get the knockout, at least I tried, and at least the fans are going to get a great, entertaining fight.
Can you do that against a slick southpaw who doesn't want to engage you?
It's going to be very hard. As long as I get the win is most important. But if the opportunity comes and I'm able to do it, then, why not try?
Good luck.
Thank you.
CompuBox numbers in the 4th round. Harris 10 out of 55. Lazcano 12 out of 56. Both of them landing 7 power shots. So it was a close round. Harold Letterman gave the round to Harris, who certainly won the first minute of it with cleaner punches. And now, as they begin round 3, Harris is able to step back and box once again. His longer arms and faster punches landing on Juan Lazcano. And if Harris begins to throw combinations, there's no way Lazcano can handle him from this distance. So once again, Lazcano leans forward with his head and his shoulder and comes back to the range at which he can fight.
But when they get in close like that, Vivian is pretty strong himself a lot of times with his short punches. And that's what I think why he's so comfortable sometimes on the inside. But Lazcano is more so than just a punching, is the fact that Lazcano uses his head and his shoulders to keep pushing forward and make Vivian lose his balance.
And Lazcano is helped by the fact that he keeps landing on Vivian Harris's belt line, but hasn't even been warned by Tony Weeks yet. A stricter referee might already have warned Lazcano about low body punches.
But, most of them have been like Coach, where you say belt line, and that's why I think he's letting them get away with it.
He should keep doing it then. Harris does have his elbows down low, and he's got the longer arm, so Lazcano needs to land underneath them if he can. Lazcano shortening up Harris's punches and giving himself a chance to land at close range, and Harris begins to look at Tony Weeks as if to say, can't you see he's landing below my cup?
But I don't think those are serious, really low blows. They're really on the cup, on the top part. In fact, I would rather get hit on the top part of the cup than to get hit right in the body.
You know, Lazcano's been doing a pretty good job of blocking punches.
He's blocking and pushing. He's doing a great job. This is the type of fight that I think would weaken Vivian more as it goes on because of the weight. And he should get back to his boxing.
It's clear that the thought process is that you might be able to get Vivian Harris to wilt in a fight like this. Take him out of his comfort zone, because when he's able to stand up and punch with both hands, his hand speed is such a big factor.
He's still a pretty strong punch on the inside. It wouldn't even surprise me if he ends up dropping or hitting Lazcano with a short inside punch.
No reason to think it wouldn't happen. He's so talented. But this way, Lazcano's confidence goes up. He's in the fight.
He's in the fight at this day.
And Harris is giving Lazcano's best chance.
Well, Vivian Harris, it seems to me, is nothing if not stubborn. You can't say to Vivian Harris that he can't do something, because he believes he's too gifted to have to listen to them.
Are you telling me?
I'm stating what I see, and I'm expecting you're going to confirm it as a guy who actually worked with it.
Well, I'm working with it. Vivian has a lot of strong opinions about a lot of things.
You know, whatever happens in this fight, this is the best fight Lazcano has fought, I think, in a few years.
Well, it is for the last 3 rounds.
Deep breath. On the nose, Joe. Okay, another deep breath. Okay, Juan. Now, you land those little shots in the inside, okay? Now I want you to turn the power shot over for me, okay? Okay. All right? You're open up, the hook's there for you, okay? Keep working the inside, finish with the power shot.
Borderline. Yeah, but all of those are punches that are still on the bottom part of the bottom part of the cup, but it's still in the cup. I still haven't saw anything that was hit the trunks, but it still, believe it or not, wasn't to me where it really hurt someone that much.
But you saw that's the moment at which
yeah.
Harris looked at Tony Weeks
Yeah.
and, began to say, look, when are you going to pay attention to what's going on here? Average jabs per round, according to CombiBox. Harris was throwing 49 jabs per round in the first 2 rounds. Rounds 3 through 5, only 20 jabs per round. Easy to see why. Lazcano's standing too close to him for the jab to work most of the time. Now Harris starts banging away at Lazcano's body with good left hooks to the body, and this underlines the point Emmanuel's making, that he can fight in close, too.
Yeah, Vivian is pretty strong inside there, too, but it's still not his best fight, because then he has to share the fight with Lazcano, but if he keeps it at a certain distance, it's all his fight.
Harris back at range now. Pretty dominant from this range. And he steps in close. Doesn't even make Lazcano come to him. Shortens the distance once again, puts Lazcano back in the fight.
I think Lazcano, where we all talk about his body punches, I think he's better with his head punches, because when he shoots those head punches up, for whatever reason, he seems to always land them on Vivian, particularly the little straight punches.
Remember the night when we watched Hasim Rahman continually follow James Toney to the ropes and allow Toney to engage him along the rope? Toney wound up getting a draw in a fight that Rahman seemed as though he might have won easily if he'd stayed in the center of the ring. Vivian Harris, it seems to me, Emmanuel, ought to back away.
He should box at a different distance in the house. I think Lazcano, contrary to what he's doing, he should punch more head punches. For whatever reason, he hits Vivian with head punches more than he does with body shots. Vivian does not move his head too much.
Well, it's turning out that the guy who wasn't being the smart fighter is being the smart fighter, and vice versa.
But Vivian doesn't have a defense in it for the head punches coming at him, which is interesting. I thought he would be moving his head more, but he's not.
I don't think he feels he needs to. I think he's willing to fight a slugfest with Juan Lazcano and believes he's going to win that fight too. But it would be so much easier if he backed away and gave himself the room to box. Like that. Just like that. This is child's play for Harris. He takes one step back, and it's easy. His hands are so much faster. No way Lazcano can deal with him from that distance.
No. Lazcano can't even get into the fight at that distance.
Stop. I got you.
And Lazcano's beginning to look like he's getting a little fatigued.
Again. And the suggestion of earlier evidence is that it only takes Lazcano one round of fighting the way he wants to fight to get tired enough that he needs to try to find a way to take some kind of a break. And now he backs Harris into the ropes and scores with a couple of his own clean shots again. And earlier, Larry Merchant spoke to Shane Mosley's opponent tonight, Luis Palazzo.
Luis, you're a substitute in this fight as you have been in your other big fights. What are your thoughts about that?
Larry, like you just said, I'm always a substitute. It's nothing new to me, so I'm just gonna go in there, have fun, and fight my fight.
You're fighting against a very well-known fighter on what is really his home turf. What do you have to do to beat him to get a decision?
Well, I gotta fight smart, go in there and fight when I want to fight. I've been in these situations before. When I won the title, 2 weeks notice, I went to his hometown as well. So now I'm coming here, going there, have fun.
Right here you see this right hand red clean on the chin, and now Lazcano comes right back with a left uppercut. Both punches landed very clean. I think it's because Vivian was expecting body punches.
So we're more than halfway into a scheduled 12-round fight between Vivian Harris in the white trunks and Juan Lazcano in the red trunks. Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored through 6?
Okay, Jim. 5 rounds to 3, 58. I'm sorry, 4 rounds to 2, 58, 56, Vivian Harris. You know, Jim, Juan Lazcano definitely won 2 rounds. He won rounds 5 and 3 for sure. But Vivian Harris came back in the 6th round, had a pretty decent 6th round. Whenever, just like you call it, whenever he keeps that fight on the outside, he wins it easily. But when he gets lazy and he lets Lazcano get in close to him, and I don't know why he does that. He makes no effort to get away. Lazcano gets the best of him. So 4-2, 58, 56, Harris.
And the one thing, Lazcano fights in spots, whereas Vivian fights consistently. He's boxing at a distance, and even when they have the close exchanges, he still fires right back with Lazcano. He never stops completely. When the inside or outside, he's always fighting.
Lazcano is either hurt or faking being hurt.
He's hurt.
Harris combination from the outside has gotten Lazcano in trouble. Lazcano tried to fake Harris into thinking he was playing possum. The guys are exactly right. He wasn't playing possum. He was hurt. And Harris, for a moment, seemed to feel as though on the verge of a knockout, and now he allows Lazcano to come in close again, and Lazcano begins to regain the possibility of being in the fight. The first 2 rounds, Vivian Harris outlanded Juan Lazcano by CompuBox count 53-7. In the next 4 rounds after that, it was Lazcano landing 68 to only 60 for Harris. So the fight changed dramatically after round number 2. Uppercut from long distance by Vivian Harris. It's a dangerous punch for most people, maybe not dangerous for him against Lazcano here. Lazcano, in addition to everything else, doesn't have a lot of punching power.
You know, but Vivian is a little exhausted after that exchange where he was trying to finish off Lazcano. And this is the time for Lazcano to step it up if he's going to do it this round.
2 good lefts to the body by Lazcano, an uppercut with a glancing lands.
Emmanuel,
But
Vivian Harris is 28. He should be in his prime. Are you saying to me that one volley of punches like that tires him out?
Yes, I've always said the making weight is a major factor with him. Because I was always trying to get him to move up to welterweight. But he's so close to the top in the junior welterweight division, that's why he wants to stay there. But making weight is a major problem with him.
I think it's entirely visible that he's tired out after having dominated the first minute of this round. And Lazcano in the last 30 seconds has taken some advantage of it. Good clean left hook by Harris, but it had no pop behind it. Lazcano snapped Harris's head back with a jab.
Well, Vivian still fights continue, whether he's in close, backing up. Well, Lazcano takes his breaks, takes a vacation for a while. Vivian never stops fighting.
Good left hook by Lazcano. Snapped Harris's head to one side as the round came to a close. That might have been Lazcano's best head punch so far in the fight.
No reason his head messing you up. Well, you're not listening. I don't want you in there. You're going to get hurt. I don't want you there. If you listen to me, this fight can done just. This guy's tired. Stand with the jab. Stand with the jab. Cut, pop, uppercut, left hook. But you got to put it together. I want tight punches. Keep it tight.
All right? And when you back this guy up, you got him going back. You can't fight, okay? Don't let him come to you, okay? All right, son? Come on, man. All right. Come on now.
Right here you see Harris land a left hook that really was effective because Lazcano didn't see it. That was one of those cleanup left hooks after a right hand. And now late in the round with Harris backing back, a little tired, misjudging his distance, he gets caught with a tremendous left hook from Lazcano.
Fascinating fight. And you could feel the frustration of Lennox Blackmore, the trainer in Vivian Harris's corner, saying, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. Why don't you create distance and box, for heaven's sake?
And both guys' quarters are giving them the proper instructions. And whoever follows the instructions the most is who's going to win this fight.
Well, there's a big talent gap. But if Juan Lazcano can listen to Freddie Roach and observe what Roach wants him to do down the stretch of the fight, he's got a shot.
Got a very good shot still. This fight could go either way right now.
I don't believe that. I believe Harris is far ahead and seems to be mostly in control of himself. It's his fight to lose right now.
I think that's fair. I'm just saying that Vivian Harris could implode if given the right incentive to do so by Juan Lazcano.
That's fair enough. Like some astronauts, both of these fighters have had meltdowns.
And now Harris backs into the ropes, and Lazcano intelligently goes straight to him, puts his shoulders against Harris's shoulders, and begins to score. This is the danger of backing up to make distance, is that you create the opportunity for the other guy to walk to you. It takes bravery on Lazcano's part. He's going to have to walk through artillery every time to get there, but once he walks all the way through and shortens the distance, he'll score.
And I think that Lazcano's performance, even though he's behind right now, may be accountable for the fact that he's moved up from 135, whereas he put it, the nearest thing to death was trying to make weight for him. And he seems comfortable and a little bit stronger.
Sharp right hand over the top by Lazcano. Quick left hook by Lazcano as Tony Weeks was breaking them. Weeks is upset at Lazcano for hitting on the break and upset at Weeks.
Hold on, Scott, stop it. We're going to keep it clean, all right? Keep it clean. Let's keep it clean.
Somebody's mouthpiece is on the canvas.
And Harris comes to talk to us and basically saying, what good is it to tell Lazcano to keep it clean? Why isn't he penalizing him for hitting me on the break?
You know, this fight is, Weeks has not been too rigid about anything in this fight. He's been letting the guys pretty much do what they want to do. But I think from this point on, it's going to change. He's going to have to be a little bit more in control of the fight.
Yeah, you make a good point. Weeks is telling the fighters to keep it clean. I think it's going to be up to Weeks to keep it clean. Now they're boxing from range again, but Lazcano's a lot more confident now than he was in the first couple of rounds in the fight when this was just a pure onslaught. This is where Harris ought to be able to do damage.
Yeah. Vivian, I haven't winning the fight, but I still worry a little bit about the fatigue factor in the last few rounds. That if he holds up physically, there's no way he's going to lose this fight. And, Lazcano's not a big puncher, but just, just the fatigue factor more so than Lazcano's punching power.
Now, for the first time in the fight from range, Lazcano is able to make Harris miss. Let's see if he can make him pay at some point. Good left hook by Juan Lazcano in close.
Stop, I got you.
This is a round that Juan Lazcano can win because he's had a chance to land clean, sharp punches. Tony Weeks steps between them as the action heats up at the bell. Coming up, the main event in the welterweight division, Shane Mosley at age 35, moving back down to welterweight where he enjoyed some of the biggest moments of his career. But history suggests this may not be the easiest of tasks. Mosley has spent most of his recent career at 154 pounds. He had a two-fight detour down to welterweight before the business opportunity to fight Fernando Vargas brought him back up to 154.
Vivian, you're fighting a Golden Boy fighter, right?
You got to step with it. Jab, jab, step right hand, left dig to the body.
when you double jab, he reaches, the right hand's right over the top. All right, son? All right, let's go to work.
Right here, you see Lazcano land a punch on a break, and it really came at such a bad time because Vivian is already emotionally upset because he feels that the referee hasn't been doing his job in stopping him from getting hit with low blows, and so that was just like the icing on the cake.
Box had the 8th round very close. Harris 14 out of 68, Lazcano 13 out of 59, but Lazcano with a little edge in power connects, and as you see, Harold Letterman bought into my reasoning that Lazcano had won the round.
You know, I think that Harris also is finding Lazcano a little bit of a tougher guy than he anticipated. I think he thought he was going to be able to do something spectacular here last night and tonight, and so he was frustrated in those middle rounds, and maybe now he's just getting back to saying, okay, I'm going to win this fight.
I think he's made a good adjustment, but the one thing, he's still busy throughout the whole round. He's always doing something.
Now, Tony Weeks warns Vivian Harris to keep punches up.
You want time? Okay, here we go.
Lazcano says, I don't need any extra time. I'm not sure the punch was low, incidentally. Lazcano lands one right on the belt line, but that was one of his most assertive body punches of the fight. And they're fighting at Lazcano's range again. And he bodies Harris off and hits him with a left hook and backs him up. And Lazcano remembers that Freddie Roach told him, keep going to him. When you back him up, he can't fight.
Harris is starting to breathe a little heavily.
Now it's Lazcano who gets backed into the ropes as Harris puts his shoulder on that of the Hispanic causing panic, but an increasingly confident Juan Lazcano bodies Harris off and lands 3 roundhouse punches. And you see Harris dig for a deep breath as he comes off the ropes, and Lazcano goes back to the ribcage.
That's been my concern, and he's getting hit with a lot of right hands by Lazcano also. When he's not moving his head at all on those right hands that he's getting hit with.
Harris lands 2 punches, but Lazcano jumps forward and puts his shoulder right back on that of the Brooklyn Guyanan fighter. And when Lazcano lets his hands go in close like this, he's the one who gains the initiative. And he backs Harris up again. This fight's getting better in round number 9.
This is exactly what I was feared from the viewpoint of Harris as the fight together got tired, as he gets tired and doesn't have that stamina going in the last round. And those right hands to the head, particularly from Lazcano, is becoming more effective now.
I think if you had told Freddie Roach and Juan Lazcano back at the end of round number 2, you're still going to be in there in the 9th, and you're going to be asserting yourself from second to second with hard inside fighting, they'd have been very happy to feel like they could have been in this position.
I think Freddie Roach thought that was going to happen all along. This fight is going exactly the way he anticipated
Body shots
it.
by Lazcano. And he knocks Harris back with a big shot upstairs. One big counter shot from Harris stops Lazcano in his tracks. An uppercut by Lazcano to punctuate an excellent 9th round in the fight.
A very good round for Lazcano.
Nice job. Nice job. Nice and relaxed.
March 10, a pair of heavyweight title fights. 2 of them first, live at 4:45 p.m. Vladimir Klitschko, seen by most as the #1 man in the division, against Ray Austin. Then live at 10 p.m., you'll see title holder Shannon Briggs against Sultan Ibragimov immediately following boxing. Countdown to Barrera Marquez. Our documentary-style look at both fighters. So that's a big day of boxing on HBO. Klitschko Austin, and then Briggs Ibragimov, and then countdown to Barrera Marquez.
Okay? All right? Combinations and pressure, son, okay? Deep breath.
Right now, let's go. Stop and let this guy teach you into box. You don't want to box. Check us out. Let's go.
CompuBox numbers in the 9th round. Juan Lazcano threw 94 punches to only 60 for Harris, landed 26 to only 13 for Harris, had a 24-8 edge in power connects. Has he totally turned the fight around? Let's see what Vivian Harris has in round number 10. And Harold, how do you have it?
Okay, Jim, 86, 85, 5 rounds to 4, Vivian Harris. Jim, I got to tell you something. I think Vivian Harris is totally exhausted. In round 8, he got a hell of a break when Tony Weeks called time to water for, keep the fight clean, and then his mouthpiece wound up on the floor. So he got a real good rest in the 8th round. But Juan Lazcano came on in the 9th, and Vivian Harris again looked exhausted. Juan Lazcano making his fight very, very close. 5-4, Harris, 86-85.
I have the same score.
Well, we always tell you it's about skill and will. Early on, it looked like a mismatch in favor of Harris's skill. The last 2 rounds have been a showcase for Lazcano's rising will. Will Will outdo skill down the stretch? That's the big question here in Las Vegas, with a 140-pound title shot ostensibly at stake between the talented, vicious Vivian Harris and the determined Juan Hispanic-causing panic Lazcano. Little trickle of blood from the left nostril of Lazcano won't bother him one bit. He was here to fight a hard fight, and he's fighting it.
Harris is dancing, and if Lazcano doesn't do anything, he's going to end up winning the round.
He just did it. That was an explosive left hook to the body, and Harris holds on.
Harris's defense is not that good at this stage here, and it's amazing that Lazcano is getting away from more punches than Harris is going down the stretch. His defense is even better.
Some of that is sheer confidence, and you can feel it. Lazcano's in the fight, perhaps even to his surprise, but he's right there, and that big eruption to the body changed this round. And again, Vivian Harris is breathing hard as he throws that right hand over the top.
But he can't find a clean punch to hit Lazcano with.
He's not popping the jab anymore. He's pawing with it. Now he rifles the right hand, but Lazcano gets right back in. Body, body, body. Left hook, left hook, left hook. Juan Lazcano's outworking Vivian Harris down the stretch.
He right hand again. Harris does not get away from those right hands to the head.
Lazcano's trying to earn a big win in Vegas tonight.
He is Hispanic causing panic right now in Vivian Harris.
It'll be fascinating to see after this round, with 2 rounds to go. Can Lennox Blackmore get Vivian Harris's attention and make one more adjustment? Or is Harris, having made weight with that 5'10" body, just too tired?
5 feet 11. And shoulders as big as a light heavyweight.
There's Luis Collazo from Starrett City Boxing Club in Brooklyn, or excuse me, in the Bronx. He was raised in Brooklyn. He got his boxing beginning from that man, Nirmal Lurik, in the Bronx. He trains with an outstanding bevy of fighters. He went to Florida to escape the cold weather in New York to get ready for Shane Mosley, and trained with one of the most outstanding core of sparring partners I've heard of in the welterweight division in many years. Kendall Holt, Randy Griffin, a lot of really good fighters were in camp with him.
You watching me, man? You watching
my biggest concern is going to be the effect of this big fight in Las Vegas. Here's the right hand coming from Lazcano that he's been landing with so much frequency for the last 4 or 5 rounds, and I think it's been the key punch in the entire fight now as the fight is moving along. The right hand to the head from Lazcano.
Well, on my card, and probably on our partner here,
Yep,
Harold,
there it is.
It's an even fight.
You got it. Who would have thought that after the first couple of rounds? Dead even fight, as both Larry and Harold see it, going to the 11th and 12th. And what more could you ask for in a fight in which the action has seesawed back and forth? And once again, classic showcase between the skill of Harris and the will of Lazcano.
Well, I'll be very honest with you. The fight is exactly the way I figured it. If it had been an early knockout for Vivian, fine. But if the fight went out to 5 or 6 rounds, I predicted it was going to be very close and would favor Lazcano going down the stretch.
Vivian Harris is landing the cleaner punches here in the first minute of round 11. That has happened in most rounds.
The one thing that I still like about Vivian, he has never quit punching. Whether it's in close range, long distance, he's tired, he never quits. Well, Lazcano does take his break. But Vivian, regardless of what, is always throwing punches.
The first minute of this round has been all Vivian Harris. Lazcano hasn't found the answer.
Harris has had to dig deep after losing the last 3 rounds, and he seems to have found the formula to give him an advantage in this fight.
Lazcano gets his first chance to get close and jumps in close to Harris, almost kicking him into the ropes. They were both tired at the end of the 10th, and it's Harris who's found the second win so far in the 11th.
He's out working it right now. He's ticking off the clock and putting points in the bank, whereas Lazcano doesn't realize, maybe he does, but he just can't do anything about it, that this fight is going to be determined by these last 2 rounds. And
From this range, it's a battle of hand speed, and it's no contest. It's been that way all the way through the fight. Lazcano has to get into where he can breathe on Vivian Harris to have a chance.
One thing I want to point out is that here in Nevada, fighters at this weight are now wearing 10-ounce gloves. I think that has reduced the chance for drama in these kinds of fights. That they are cushions, they may be safer for the fighters, but you are not going to see knockouts in late rounds in the lower weight divisions very often with fighters wearing these kinds of gloves.
All right, let me play devil's advocate. Maybe it increased the drama because maybe with 8-ounce gloves, Lazcano was gone in the first 2 rounds.
Well, that would have been drama. That would have been final. People would have said, let's watch that guy again.
Okay? Bring the fucking one up, man.
Okay? Now we need a real big round. You hear me, son? All right? You let his movement get to you. You need to put pressure on this guy. All right?
Last
You
round.
One.
Right? Don't go too far from him. Stay in range. So when you're popping, pop, pop, bam, bam, pop, pop, bang, bang. Pop. When he comes, bang, and move. Okay?
Pick it up, son.
There you go, Juan.
It's all you, all right? You've got it in you, son. Let's go to work, okay? You got it in you? Come on, let's go. All right?
So after the big rally that had brought him to the brink of success in the fight, Juan Lazcano either went brain dead or body dead in the 10th, and Vivian Harris took advantage of the opportunity to move, box, and win the round easily.
Or he simply may have just spent himself in getting back into the fight.
But whatever it is, I wish that both of these guys would realize that this could be the deciding factor of this fight, whether who wins or a draw or whatever, could be determined by this next 3 minutes.
One thing's for sure, Freddie Roach has told Juan Lazcano the truth all the way through the fight and has given him every chance to stay in it if he can listen to what Roach says.
You know, and what happens here is that Harris finally got it into his head. I was about to say thick head, but I won't. that he wasn't going to have some sensational performance tonight, and that he just has to use his skills to win the fight.
Larry, wasn't that a disingenuous way of saying thickhead? Lazcano finally gets in a body shot. What, Emmanuel?
When a guy's tired like this, and sometimes, and he gets in a comfort level, just even though he's not winning, he's just so comfortable just walking in and taking his time, and you could get away with that. But right now, it's got to be some urgency on the part of Lazcano. Don't he stands to lose this fight?
Well, I think he's showing much greater urgency than he did in the 10th.
Yeah.
He's just missing with big shots. And he's not going to beat him by landing one big shot. He's got to get in and land a bunch to the body like that. He's got to start throwing as many as he can. And now Tony Weeks, for the first time all night, warns Juan Lazcano for throwing low. And in fact, he's going to take a point, and that could well decide the fight.
And that was the one where Vivian was bending his elbows down to the point where he was forcing the punch to be low.
This is a case of a referee imposing himself on a fight at the end of the fight in a way that can make the difference in the fight. That, to me, is bad refereeing in any sport.
Well, the perceived injustice from my end is I'm not sure I remember Weeks warning Lazcano at any time during the fight. Instead, he just stepped in and took a point.
Well, there were a few kind of minor warnings, but there were no bad low blows. It was what has been going on through it's like a strike zone that has been defined during the fight. You don't change it at the end of the fight.
I don't remember him a single time asking Harris if he wanted time to recover from a low blow.
No, and in fact, Harris was bending his elbows and pushing down to the way where it almost forces a punch that was intended to the body to end up straight into the cut.
Bottom line is it probably leaves Lazcano in the position of needing a knockout with 30 seconds to go in the fight.
In addition to that, he's also around anyway, without the point being taken.
So it's probably going to wind up in the category of a scare and a near miss for Harris, but the expected victory for the Brooklyn Guyanan fighter.
Vivian is fighting a very smart fight. He's doing just what is necessary to win the fight. Boxing and then occasionally exploding and then changing directions back and forth.
Juan Lazcano not able to get it done in the 11th and 12th rounds after a big rally had brought him to the brink of possible success. Crowd isn't thrilled with Harris. Not sure Lazcano would have gotten any big cheers either.
Yeah.
Look at me. Anything hurt at all?
Lennox Blackmore with a hug for his fighter. Now here, let's take a look at the sequence which led to the deduction of a point. Emmanuel.
Yeah, those are the kind of punches with the way that he was pushing his head down and he was holding his hand that really has been going on throughout the entire fight. It was just unfortunate the referee decided in a crucial round like this to call the point deduction.
I totally agree. We saw that in the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round, all the way through. Harold, how'd it wind up on your scorecard?
Okay, Jim, 7 rounds to 5, 115, 112, Vivian Harris. He wanted it more in the last 2 rounds, and he pulled it out. But, Jim, I got to tell you something. Tony Weeks made a mistake. You just can't pull a point away in a 12th round of a fight that's 1 point either way. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no question. It wasn't called for. There weren't enough low blows involved. I thought it was a bad call. Anyway, 115, 112, Harris.
Vivian Harris looks very relieved as he stands above us, and Juan Lazcano, as you can see, the look on his face is trying to accept in his mind what happened here. Here's a look at the 3 judges who will be doing what Harold did, scoring the fight. Chuck Giampa, one of the great vets, 114 title fights, one of the 5 judges here in Las Vegas who in 2 consecutive fights between Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins preferred Taylor by 115, 113. So too is Dave Moretti. Same identity, 103 title fights, one of the best in the sport, preferred Taylor over Hopkins. And then here's the one guy who preferred Hopkins among the 6 judges who scored those 2 fights, Jerry Roth, probably the most experienced big fight judge in the sport with 138 title fights. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official particulars on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mandalay Bay, we go to the scorecards. Jerry Roth scores it 114, 113. Dave Moretti and Chuck Giampa, 115 to 112. All to the winner by unanimous decision, Vicious Vivian Harris.